All right. We ready to roll?
I'm not.
All right. Gini coefficient. Yeah. So it's between 0 to 1. 0 means that everyone has the same income. 1 is the maximum unfair. So that would be like one person has all the money. Remember, 0 would also go with the Lorenz curve.
Are there any questions on that? The Lorenz curve specifically?
There's 2 on inequality. All right. So market failure. A situation where the free market system fails to satisfy society's wants. And that the government is going to step in one way or the other.
Sorry.
All right, we don't need to circulate the floor. All right, so the 4 market failures: 1, public goods; 2, externalities. So public goods, there's 5 questions. Externalities, there's 14. Monopolies, there's 2. And unfair distribution of income seems like 2. Well, I didn't get to, there's no way I got to 30 there. But I know externalities dominates it.
The number 30, the answer is that.
So, I have last first year cheat.
All right, could you guys stop cheating, please?
I thought that was for his birthday. Never get that yet?
Man.
All right, so. All right. Free riders are individuals that benefit without paying. Now, free riders are also the reason things become public goods, because they're not excludable and the private market can't make money because they're not, there's too many free riders, so you underproduce or underallocate. You don't need all the examples. My private road example.
Canada and Japan are free riders?
Yeah,
Unlike what, US defense spending?
US military, yeah. The whole world I could have put down, but you know. All right, to be considered a true public good, you must meet 2 criteria. 1, non-exclusion, all right? Any dollar amount is exclusion, okay? The second, though, that what confuses people, if I'm watching television transmission is a public good, I know I need a TV, but it's the transmission of the program that's free and non-excludable. Okay? And the second, and they love using national defense, by the way. The second is shared consumption. That Gene's using the good does not impact my use of the good. Yes, sir.
I don't see it on the sheet. Can you go over like it kind of looks like a matrix, but it's like the common good, public good, club good, and all 4 of those.
It's on one of the old sheets, I think.
So a private good, let's do, is the opposite. It's excludable. So private is excludable and rival. And that's most of the stuff you buy in the store, right? And then you have common resources. And that's non-excludable, but rival. And I think of fishing for this one, where I can't keep you out of the pond, but if I catch all the fish, you're not gonna have a really good time. And the last one, Manku refers to club. Sometimes people call it natural monopolies. And that is excludable and non-rival. And I would think like cable TV, right? Like you gotta pay for cable, but Jackson watching the football game on TV does not exclude me from watching it, or does not hurt my enjoyment of watching it at my house. Are those the ones you wanted, Ben?
Thank you.
Okay. I would say,
Is it really only common resource and public good that are gonna be on the test though?
I'd say the most thing is public good.
Yeah.
But there's 5 questions on a unit test, so they might stick one of those in there. Oh,
Oh,
I did half of them.
you're great.
I just didn't have it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is the next thing on your thing negative externality? Okay, so negative externality on the producer. And I think a lot of times they're gonna put graphs like this and ask you like questions like we did today in class. So it goes private to social, it's going private to social to the left. I know it's a negative externality. If I take my market, which is the private in the MSB here, that's my market straight up, that gives me my external cost. This is my price optimal. This is the quantity optimal. All right, like we did today, beware of, do you produce more than the efficient? Beware of, the tax is gonna be this way. So you get a tax, this is dead weight loss, and the way you check dead weight loss is that point of the triangle is on the optimal line. Okay? And like we did today, they might say at the market, is it greater or less than the marginal social cost? They could say at the optimal, is it greater? So just use your graphs. And I looked at the test just for this. There is a graph of a negative externality on it and a positive. And I would just refer to that so I don't have to graph. Do you know what I mean? So I don't have to write the graph every time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just kind of what I said. That's the tax. And oh, the last thing, remember, after the tax, which means they like to use the term internalized, there's no dead weight loss. So be careful for, like, after the $2 tax, what is the dead weight loss? You know, as they try to trip you up there.
What does internalized mean again?
And internalized just means the tax or the subsidy has already occurred. So you're now gonna go to the optimal, okay? All right, so now this is negative on the consumer. Again, I go from private to social. The consumer is always gonna be the demand curve. And I'm going left if it's a negative externality. I'm still taking my market up. That gives me my dead weight loss triangle. Again, this line is the external cost.
What's like an example of that?
Negative externality on a consumer.
Like second hand. Yeah.
No, well, it depends who's doing, but I would say, yeah, that could be if you're smoking cigarettes
Yeah,
or alcohol.
gotcha.
Okay. To be fair to you guys, in a typical little sheet here. They just started to use like this graph like 2 years ago, so there's less, so if I was absolutely not. If I couldn't figure it out, I'd always go with negative on the producer and positive on the consumer. Like if I'm just stuck, but anyhow, there is this.
You said negative on the consumer and then positive on the producer.
No, the opposite, negative on the producer. That's if you can't figure it out. You should be able to figure it out. All right, then the next is positive on the consumer, right? Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, so let me try to get it along. So again, we're going private to social, we're going to the right, it's positive, demand is shifting, so it's the consumer. I take the market line straight up. This is external benefit. My dead weight loss, point to the triangle on the optimal. I'd say if you know the graphs, the externality questions are really easy.
This should say marginal social cost or marginal project cost. So is producer always gonna be to the left? And
No.
Consumer.
If you're moving to the left, you're negative. If you're moving to the right, you're positive.
Gotcha.
Because you're gonna see the producer is gonna move to the right in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then you would use the subsidy. Again, the subsidy is gonna be this line. It would erase the deadweight loss. If they say it's internalized, that just means you're at the optimal. And just remember, it starts out inefficient. They both have deadweight loss, negative and positive, so they're inefficient. All right. Then here is on your producer. Notice again, private, social, but you're moving right. You still take the market line straight up, point to the triangle on the optimal. I also should say, like, if it's an FRQ, you need to like say this is a positive externality on the producer. You can't just say positive externality.
Is the FRQ on externality?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd have to say it almost has. It almost has.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, like, that doesn't mean there can't be a tag on tax, like, you know, like taxes, you know how they, like E or F could be, but like the graph, I mean, it's the only, right? It's the only graph.
Do you know which section is getting the hardest FRQ?
No,
No, it's cheaper.
Not on one, not on Tuesday.
I don't even think of it. I just like flip them out. And by the way, I probably am the worst predictor of what the hard and easy FRQs are. But I think section 1 is due for a hard. I just said that for Jeff. All right, so the second, there's 2 questions on regulated monopolies. I do think one will be like on this, like fair return. Just remember ATC, fair return. Zero economic profit can also be called normal profit. Okay, so just remember, zero economic profit and normal profit are the same thing. Where MC crosses demand is socially optimal. Remember, you're losing money there and government would have to subsidize.
This is a national monopoly, right?
Yes, it is. And you know that because ATC is downward sloping.
Is there a reason the MR line is like?
Like this line?
Yeah.
No, probably like just me doing a bad job.
You said zero economic profit is equal to.
Normal, yeah. So sometimes they use the phrase, Anthony, normal profit, it just means zero economic profit. Because it gets tossed around a lot more in perfect competition where in the long run, the normal profit is zero economic profit. But I've seen that them use normal profit and confuse the guys, not because they don't know it's ATC crosses demand, but they don't know what normal profit is. Okay. Do you need this in a second, Ethan? Anyone need this? Okay. All right, then here is the Lorenz curve. Do I think they would ever have you draw it? No. But I do think they'd have you interpret it. All right, and this, just so you know, is Gini coefficient of 0. So they can show you this and ask you, what is the Gini coefficient? All right, because it's perfect equality.
Would they make us approximate like
No.
that other second line or no?
Now, the second line is, say, the actual distribution in the United States before taxes. Now, what they could do is show you this and say, if the United States wants to get closer to perfect equality, what type of tax? Progressive, right?
How do they like How does the coefficient determine what the shape of the graph looks like? I guess that's what I'm asking. Like, why does 0 coincide with like 1? 1, like a slope of 1? Is there like some like?
No, I don't think it's, I think 0 just happens to be this line, but I don't think it determines the other.
Yeah, because like, why is the US is like 0.48?
Yeah, I
Why
don't,
does it look like that?
yeah, I don't think it does.
It just,
Yeah,
it just be like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is what, when you plot, Ben, when you plot like 20% gets 5% of the income.
Do you just plot it the quintiles and then?
Yeah, yes. Like, and I think, let me see. Oh, I thought